These dogs are honestly trying to play the role of shepherds and drive the bulls into the corner of the pen so they can be transported. The Border Collie breed is perfect for such work. They are incredibly swift, strong, can intimidate the hoofed animals if necessary, and they can control their enthusiasm, not causing harm to the cattle, but skillfully guiding them where the owner needs them to. The fairly large size and endurance allow Border Collies to direct even very large hoofed animals. However, the dogs didn't know what they were getting themselves into. Domestic bulls are accustomed to farm life, but when they see a snarling dog face, there is instinctive resistance to the predator. Moreover, if an aggressive ram might be frightened by a large dog in retreat, a domestic calf recalls the legacy of wild ancestors, powerful aurochs who didn't back down from danger. Therefore, the bull boldly counterattacks. The bull utilized its clear mass advantage, went on a charge, easily escaped from the corner of the pen, and started fighting the dog. The Border Collie skillfully dodged the enemy's strikes, but being so close to a heavy bull is way too risky. The hoofed animal tramples the dog. Fortunately, the dog doesn't suffer serious injuries or wounds and quickly jumps up. This is quite a common occurrence. Bulls are probably the most challenging domestic animals to control precisely because they respond to attempts to intimidate with aggression. Quite often, these herbivores behave more aggressively than many predators. They use their weight advantage and send herding dogs flying at the first opportunity. Moreover, there is some loyalty among the hoofed animals. When one bull gets tired, he is immediately replaced by another, as if they have shift work. The dogs are lucky that the entire herd doesn't attempt to trample their opponents. However, gradually the wave of adrenaline courage leaves the herbivores, and they calm down. For the dogs, the main thing is to survive this moment and not let the mighty hoofed ones smash the pen. But these dogs won't underestimate, and especially provoke, even the farm-acclimated domestic bulls anymore. Many dogs have the bad habit of breaking free and running in pursuit of a swiftly moving target. In such cases, the dog may bark and even grab the target with his teeth. Have you ever had to deal with this? It's pretty unpleasant, isn't it? These horses also didn't like it when, during a routine beach walk, a dog suddenly, for no reason, lunged at one of the hoofed animals. However, the huge beast immediately found a way to respond to the unprovoked aggression. A powerful blow, precisely to the head, disabled the bulldog. Most likely it survived, but when it comes to, it will remember such a lesson for a lifetime. This is one of the most beautiful and sad stories of the confrontation between hoofed animals and predators. A vast herd of caribou migrates through the taiga in search of rich plant pastures. The hoofed animals are very strong and numerous, but among them are vulnerable members of the herd, the calves. They are already strong enough to run almost on par with adults, but significantly weaker in strength. This was noticed by wolves who were chasing the herd. They run after their prey, systematically seeking suitable targets. The predator's goal is to attack the herd from the flank, separate the weakest animal from the rest, and grab it when the other hoofed animals run far away. Wolves are strong, but their main advantage is endurance. After a long chase, the predator suddenly closed the distance. If before they were running after the caribou for several hours in the distance, now the predators accelerated and approached striking distance. They selected a target, a female with a fawn. A complex positional struggle began. The calf keeps up with the rest of the herd and stays amidst the large hoofed animals. If the predators try to attack it there, the other deer will simply knock the wolves to the ground and trample them. The mother also tries to protect her calf. She maneuvers, takes the baby away from the predators, but the wolves act too cohesively and precisely. In the end, the wolves manage to separate the fawn from the rest of the herd. Now one of the wolves chases the fawn away to deal with it quietly on the side. Even the mother couldn't protect the calf because other predators interfered. However, the Arctic wolf doesn't know who he's dealing with. This fawn is very young, but the desire to survive is so strong that the little one breaks free from the predator. The wolf is shocked. The beautiful and dramatic chase lasts much longer than he expected. Usually, it takes a seasoned hunter a few seconds, or maybe a minute, to bring down a fawn of this age. Here, the fawn leads the wolf for almost half an hour. Such speed was not expected from him. The little one maneuvers, dodges the enemy's fangs, runs as fast as it can at the limit of its abilities. It is waiting for help from the mother, but it won't come. The wolf led the fawn too far from the herd. The young hoofed animal is indeed faster than its peers. Perhaps even an adult caribou couldn't show such results in a fatal race. But the wolf gathers the remnants of strength and still catches up with the fawn. With the light movement, the predator makes the victim stop. The fawn doesn't even need to be knocked down. It's so tired and exhausted that it can no longer resist, as if the wolf turned it off. The predator quickly finishes the victim. Soon, other hunters from the pack join him. The fawn lost, but this hunt went so far that the predators will not return to the herd and will not pursue it. Usually, adults protect the young. Here, it was the opposite. Unexpectedly for the predators, this little one saved many other deer with its agility. Ponies are much cooler than people think. This horse made a big mistake when engaging with the little hoofed challenger. Their compact, rounded bodies, cute faces, short limbs, combined with dense and soft fur, make these animals incredibly adorable. Additionally, they are small, almost half the size of regular horses in height and dimensions. Hence, there's a stereotype that ponies are a breed developed for children's entertainment. As you can see, this pony attacks its opponent, twice its size, quite seriously. One of the favorite tactics of ponies is to reach the opponent's groin with its powerful teeth. Their small stature gives them an advantage in this regard. For a large horse to bite a small opponent, it needs to lower its head significantly. Ponies, on the other hand, easily reach their target. The horse is shocked by this. Its problem is that it didn't know where this breed of opponent even came from. In reality, ponies were bred for work in mines, not for children's rides. The initial task of ponies was to pull coal-loaded carts through sometimes incredibly steep tunnels in complete or near complete darkness, heat, and the constant danger of collapses. They are perfectly prepared for such dangerous and complex work. Their modest size is merely a consequence of the necessity to work in low and narrow mines, not a sign of a soft character. On the contrary, if you have to dive into darkness for years, carrying a load several times heavier than your own body, it kind of toughens you up a little bit and makes your character genuinely resilient, doesn't it? Here, the aggressive ram didn't immediately understand that it was dealing with a much cooler, hoofed creature than itself. The pony not only withstood all the blows and head-on attacks from the opponent, but also actively started biting it. Moreover, the small horse is not using even a tenth of its actual strength. It just shows the opponent that messing with a pony is a bad idea. The ram is used to the other farm animals being peaceful, so they back down under its pressure. But this time, it picked the wrong opponent. This duel may not seem cruel or aggressive at all, just two small, hoofed animals biting and butting at each other at a slow pace. But in reality, the ram was really lucky. If the pony wanted to, it could have broken its spine. Although modern ponies don't really work in mines, they are physically on par with their ancestors, inheriting incredible strength and endurance. Imagine the power of a massive working stallion. Now mentally shrink it into the compact packaging of a pony's body. Now you have an idea of what these cuties are capable of. Which case from today where hoofed animals gave a cool resistance to their enemies impressed you the most? In the eternal confrontation of cats and dogs, the advantage is almost always with dogs. They are usually heavier, more massive, and also know how to act as a team. Therefore, it seems that this cat does not have a single chance. Fortunately, at the last moment, he appears to be her superhero. One cat attacks a whole pack of dogs, and thanks to rage and claws, manages to literally defeat the enemy. The cat throws away dogs who don't want to feel his claws in their eyes. And when the dogs recovered a little and were ready to counterattack, the enemy had already disappeared with his beloved. A real knight. The mother cat is also capable of such feats. These dogs wanted to hurt her baby. Well, they didn't know who they were messing with. First, the cat repelled the attack on the baby, and then started chasing 3 dogs. But do not think that cats and dogs hate each other just because they belong to rival species. This cat witnessed how a strange dog attacked a dog that belongs to his family. This was a big mistake. The aggressor did not know that this cat is a real defender of the house. He crashed into someone else's dog with his whole body and saved his furry friend. An emu is a bird that looks funny, but in fact is on the list of the most dangerous birds on the planet. At first glance, she is not particularly impressive, but her physical form is enough to fight on equal terms with the largest predators. In order to work with emus, wildlife researchers need all-metal shields. These birds are so devastatingly able to beat. But the main thing is their honest, pure, and inexhaustible love for fights. This one does not need to be provoked at all. He'll start pestering you himself. For him, any creation that he did not like in some way is a potential target. The emu doesn't even kick this sheep. Out of contempt for her, the bird just pecks at her head. And this emu is literally hunting a dog. Just look at how the bird hovers over its prey. The dog clearly did not understand what was happening. Some feathered monster appears, which looks into his eyes and runs after him with an obvious desire to break his skull. This is far from the only case. Although the emu is taller, the dog is heavier and theoretically stronger. But the bird doesn't care that they are in different weight categories. She wants to show that this dog's place is in the far corner of the kennel. It's better not to get caught in the eyes of an emu. The goose does not have huge claws and a sharp curved beak like an eagle. It doesn't have the impressive dimensions of an ostrich or condor. But every goose is a real warrior at heart. This dog is not trying to harm the goose. On the contrary, he nobly keeps an aggressive bird because the owner's property must be protected. But the feathered one does not understand the good impulse of the dog. It goes on attack. And the goose doesn't care that it's an alibi, a shepherd dog that was bred to protect against wolves. The goose goes on the attack, gets a couple of blows, but then gets up and rushes into battle again. It seems that he watched several episodes of Naruto and is now sure that the main thing in battle is not to give up. We don't know exactly what inspired this formidable bird, but although the dog has a clear advantage, the feathered approach is bearing fruit. The huge dog is retreating. He underestimated the stubbornness and unstoppability of an ordinary goose. Okay, but what about someone bigger? This goose is against his family being forced out of his favorite corner on the shore. That's why he's going to attack a whole herd of cows. Even one cow is a couple hundred times heavier and several orders of magnitude stronger than a bird. She could have trampled on him without a problem. And neither wing beats nor goose bites pose a serious threat to these ungulates. But despite these facts, cows cannot displace a goose. It is he who attacks them and drives them away. Amazing. His female just stands there and watches her partner easily scatter huge opponents. And why interfere? She's already sure of him. And you know what? She's right. the goose boldly goes into battle, and the hoofed giant retreat. They are trying to counterattack the brazen bird, but its pressure is stronger than a stone wall. In vain, they underestimated their opponent. It seems that the whole life of a goose is a futile search for a worthy opponent. Look at this brave bird. She's chasing 2 tigers. Cats are shocked by the bravery of this feathered terminator. That's when arrogance really saves a life. Each of these striped goons could have dealt with the goose with one blow. But the bird spreads its wings and goes on the attack. The tigers can only retreat. They are afraid of such pressure because they think that the power of the feathered impudent is much greater than it is. It is not necessary to take an example from a goose, but in a critical situation, self-confidence and fortitude can really save where there is not enough physical strength. With powerful blows of the wings, the bird stuns its enemy, making him tremble. And no one will want to meet with the tenacious beak of the goose. It's funny. It turns out that when the tigers decided to attack the goose, they first underestimated it, and when they began to retreat in panic, they overestimated. Have you ever had similar stories in your life? Share them in the comments. Finally, the goose has found a worthy opponent. You will be shocked, but the only animal that could fight back against this feathered avenger is an elephant. Yes, you got it right. You need to be literally the largest land animal in the modern world to give a decent fight to an ordinary goose. These 2 opponents are worthy of each other. Just look at these titans fight. The goose goes to attack the elephant, but unlike tigers and other large animals, our hero withstands this pressure and counterattacks himself. He puts his trunk into action and then even turns his back to the enemy. It's probably some kind of karate kick. Amazing skill on both sides. Here is a case when both animals underestimated their enemy, but neither of them began to retreat. This fight looks funny. A multi-ton elephant is trying to gore a goose, which an adult could lift with one hand without any problems. But we already know what these birds are like in business. The courage of an elephant causes genuine respect, don't you agree? By the way, there is some kind of mutual respect between the rivals. It's like they're at a tournament and want to show off their entire arsenal. Well, or the elephant just wants to finally find a way to drive this crazy bird out of its territory. Crocodiles like to ambush, but this warthog clearly noticed the predator in time. And when the reptile made a dash, the boar easily dodged the bite, jumped over the enemy, and ran away. The crocodile is in shock, but at least he remained in the status of a predator. The crocodile clearly considered himself a real monster, which everyone in Africa is afraid of. No, not all of them. Here's the best illustration for the words. Boy, you came to the wrong area. Huge hippos literally pulled the crocodile out of the water and started kicking it like a soccer ball. For them, he is not a predator, but a victim. Do you also not like it when someone steals food right out of your plate? Well, we are against violence, but we must admit that this rhino knows how to protect personal borders. When the boar did not heed the first warning, he received an unusual flight experience instead of a portion of fresh grass. The rhino did not finish him off. He just taught a spectacular and obviously effective lesson when he launched the boar up with one powerful blow.